The film begins in a bar with Benny, a biker, quietly enjoying his drink. The peace is shattered when two men accost him and demand that he take off his jacket or leave the place. Despite their taunts, Benny ignores them, which escalates his anger, and they end up taking him outside to beat him further.
You my brother, bozo? Keep wearing no colors in this neighborhood.
You'd have to kill me to get this jacket off.
This fucking kid, huh?
Come here.
You fucking bike asshole!
I'll get him to stay down.
Oh shit, Henry!
I've had nothing but trouble since I met Benny.
The narrative is loosely based on a true story told by Kathy, who recounts her affair with Benny, a member of the Vandals motorcycle club, during an interview with Danny. The wives of other bikers in the club also participate in the chat, adding their perspectives. Kathy says she met Benny when she went to the Vandals club for the first time one night to deliver something to a friend. At the club, two bikers, Corky and Wahoo, tried to flirt with her, but Kathy showed no interest. Upon meeting her friend and being introduced to another member nicknamed Cucaracha, Corky and Wahoo's attempts to ask her out continue, but she insists on having a boyfriend and having plans with him that night. Despite this, Benny, who she previously found attractive, approaches her and asks her out on a date.
I'm Benny.
Kathy.
You gotta go.
As Kathy leaves the club and waits for the bus, she sees the Vandals leaving. She meets Benny again, and despite her initial reluctance, ends up getting on his motorcycle, attracted by his presence. Although she enjoys the motorcycle ride, she is annoyed when he takes her back to the club. After spending the night there, Benny takes her home, where her boyfriend waits for her and confronts Benny. Although Kathy is upset with Benny about the situation, he stays outside her house all night, smoking on his motorcycle.
That's crazy. If my boyfriend gets back from work and you're still sitting there, he's gonna be pissed. You better go home. This crazy kid. You're crazy!
Her boyfriend arrives and is upset to see him still there, so he packs up his things and leaves. Eventually, Benny enters the house and the two fall in love. After 5 weeks, they get married.
Oh, no.
When Danny returns to continue the interview, he asks about Johnny, the leader of the Vandals. Kathy relates that Johnny, a family man, started the club inspired by a TV show he watched with his wife. He originally had a racing club with Jimmy, but wanted something more ambitious, a motorcycle club, seeing in Benny one of its most prominent members.
Johnny raced, but they say it was good. You know, him and Jimmy.
Despite differences of opinion between Jimmy and Johnny over the direction of the club, Johnny decides to start a motorcycle club with 12 members, including Corky and Wahoo. Brucey, an electrician by trade, becomes his right-hand man. Members include Cal, a California mechanic with frustrated military aspirations, and Cockroach, along with Jack, whose propensity for violence soon becomes apparent. Jack attempts to bring his violent friends into the club, but Johnny objects, emphasizing the trust and camaraderie existing among the current members. This triggers a dispute between Jack and Johnny, who agrees to settle it with a fist fight.
You broke my damn finger.
Hey, we done? Okay. Hey.
You good?
Yeah, I never felt better.
Chapters started popping up all over the place, you know. Other clubs started asking to join up. After that, the club started growing and got real big real fast.
Soon after, a motorcycle rally brings the Vandals Club to attention at a car show, where they encounter the Gary Rouges. The situation escalates into a violent confrontation, with Benny standing out for his ferocity.
You tall fuck. Why'd you scratch my bike?
I didn't scratch your fucking scooter, man.
Yeah, you.
What's going on?
And now he says I scratched his bike. Well,
Boyfriends are getting into trouble.
That kid's fucking crazy.
Later, in a calmer atmosphere, challenges are issued to Johnny to harden the club's course toward more shady activities, while grooming Benny to succeed him. Benny's leadership is tested when he is brutally attacked for refusing to remove his leather jacket, resulting in a serious injury that leaves him unable to ride motorcycles.
oh, he won't sit down. Shit, Henry! Motherfucker right here!
Kathy, deeply affected by seeing Benny crying for the first time, becomes his main support. Johnny, upon learning what happened to Benny, becomes enraged and seeks revenge by burning down the club and attacking the legs of Benny's attackers.
Young kid get beat up in here earlier today. Write their names down where they live. You know who did it.
Couple of regulars.
Send a few guys, make it so they can't work no more. What about the bar? Burn it down. They're scared of us.
Tensions escalate when Benny chooses the club over Kathy after she recovers, leading to a confrontation with Johnny.
I should just go. When I heal up, I'll leave.
Kathy pleads with Johnny to leave Benny out of the club because she loves him and would not want to see him die upon returning to the club. But the final decision is left up to Benny, causing Kathy's frustration and departure.
Are you done?
You can't have them!
In a warm reunion, the Vandals Club families gather for a picnic, joined by a man named Sonny. As night falls, they share stories about their lives, all marked by the decision to leave home and join the club. Amidst the hubbub, Johnny and Benny have a serious conversation about the future of the club. Johnny confesses to feeling tired and expresses his desire for someone else to take the reins. Although Benny suggests Brucey as a possible leader, Johnny dismisses him as not strong enough to command the respect of the members.
That's why it's you. Who all these guys here, they're all trying to be. It's yours. Just think it over, you know.
Attention is diverted when Sonny begins to tease Cal, eliciting laughter from those present, though Kathy watches Benny and Johnny worriedly, trying to decipher the underlying tension. On the way home, Kathy senses that something is not right. In the present, she shares with Danny her perception that Benny has always considered leaving the club. She reflects on how, Despite efforts to change her man, these attempts often fail. Kathy sadly recalls Brucey's death, noting how even that event did not shake Benny emotionally.
Brucey, I think ever since Brucey died, things with the club have changed.
It comes out of nowhere. Just pound. That's it.
There's that one that gets you. That's how it is, you know. There's always that one.
Determined to make amends, Johnny urges the club to get together and personally go and bring flowers to Brucey's house in a gesture of solidarity and respect, but her family rejects them by showing their obvious hatred by spitting in his face.
Get out of here.
One night, Johnny, overcome with emotion, tells the story of a man who, despite no longer being able to ride it, cared for his motorcycle throughout his life. Meanwhile, at the club, Johnny is visited by a young man and his gang, the Renegades, who ask him to join their club. Johnny, still excited, declines the offer, pointing out that they are too young. However, the leader insists on showing him their motorcycles to prove his worth. Johnny, impressed by the demonstration, considers accepting the leader, but only if he abandons his friends. The leader accepts without hesitation, but Johnny was just testing how loyal he was to his friends. So he became disillusioned and refused to join the group, which made the young man angry, which causes Johnny to beat him up. In the present, Danny talks to Kathy about the club after Brucey's death. Since when Brucey died, Danny left town at the end of school and never knew what happened to the club in his absence. Kathy tells him that the club had split between old and new members, and that Johnny was furious to see the moral decline of the club mired in alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs. One day, when the group was arguing, Cucaracha revealed his intention to leave the club to become a cop. This unleashed the wrath of some new members, who beat him brutally. Johnny intervened, taking him to the hospital with Benny, leaving Kathy vulnerable to being harassed by Cucaracha's aggressors. She was still screaming when Johnny returned just in time to defend her.
Ready to go. We're just getting on it.
Fuck out of here. He not.
Later, Roach, now recovering from a broken arm and 2 broken ribs, informs Johnny that he is leaving the club but is afraid and wants protection from the aggressive new members. One day, Johnny and Benny go armed to the cockroach house. Benny has no idea what's going on, but goes along anyway.
You know, let's just go someplace, Benny.
What do you think this is? I gotta go meet Johnny.
Upon arrival, Johnny shoots Roach in the leg with his consent to make a scene and blame it on the new members.
Go now.
Benny, confused and disillusioned by the direction the club has taken, confronts Johnny about its future. Johnny suggests that Benny should take over leadership of the club, but Benny rejects the idea, insisting that he wants to maintain his independence.
Gonna be me.
Benny decides to leave the club, leaving Kathy, who is left not understanding where he has gone. The young leader of the Renegades returns to the club, now as a member of the Milwaukee chapter of the Vandals, and challenges Johnny to a duel for leadership of the club. Johnny gives him a choice between fists or knives, and the young man chooses to fight with knives. The two agree to resolve their conflict in a parking lot, marking a possible changing of the guard in the club's leadership. The next day, before leaving, Johnny gathers his things and his wife asks him to buy eggs on the way home. He decides to stop at Kathy's house to ask about Benny. After a brief conversation and a farewell, Johnny heads to a meeting in the park, preparing for what is to come. Due to the cold weather, the Vandals have opted to use cars instead of motorcycles. Armed with his knife, Johnny heads to the parking lot where the meeting is being held. Tragically, Johnny is foully killed in the duel by a gunshot, marking the end of the motorcycle club's golden era. The young man who challenged Johnny assumes leadership of the club, transforming it into a gang dedicated to crime. Internal conflicts are resolved, and the original members disperse or adapt to the club's new and violent leadership. Characters like Corky, Wahoo, and Sonny join the new criminal version of the Vandals, while Cucaracha fulfills his dream of becoming a motorcycle cop, and Zipko returns to Texas to work on a boat. The club was now known as a criminal gang, leaving behind Johnny's main vision of camaraderie and passion for motorcycles. In this context, Danny asks Kathy about Benny. She says that Benny was in a bar when he heard about Benny's death, which surprised him, and after finishing his drink, he left the place. After some time away, Benny returns and meets Kathy, sitting together on her doorstep. As the interview ends, Kathy observes a smiling Benny from the window, now working as a mechanic and free of the club's restraints. The two share a smile in a moment of peace and freedom, marking the end of the film.